There are people in this country who are here with the full intent to do us harm. Are you aware that if just 0.5% of the estimated 15 million, 14.7 million to be exact, that came into our country illegally during the Biden administration, if just 0.5% are tied to criminal organizations or terrorist organizations, that constitutes more than the combined active duty forces of the Army and Marines?
Governor, do you recognize this picture? It's a precinct 3 burning down because of your decision. Was this a peaceful protest? You were at the law school, graduating Minnesota Law School, talking to the graduates. And we've talked about this. You called the enforcement of illegal immigrants a modern-day Gestapo. Why did you tell us that they were the Gestapo?
But the fact is that there is a financial tie to these riots, tied to immigration, that actually leads right back to the Communist Chinese Party. Is it true also, I know on your campaign, that you had admitted to visiting China anywhere from 15 to 30 times, sir? Yes or no, please?
Home and raids that occurred in the first week of the Trump administration drove people into hiding. People who are documented, people who are citizens actually had to go into hiding because they know people that are undocumented. We've had people who are working, I'm talking about for decades, who've raised families, who are paying taxes in my state, who have had to flee.
My grandfather was a migrant farm worker. They are an important part of our identity, our economy. People can't go to school, they can't worship, they can't go get health care, they can't go to their senior center. We will help every day of the week to get rid of people who commit crimes that never should have come here or commit crimes here. That is my number one job.
Donald Trump has, since he was inaugurated, pardoned violent January 6 insurrectionists. Dictator. Defied Supreme Court orders and attacked the judiciary. Dictator. Kidnapped people off of the streets and deported them to foreign prisons without due process. Sounds like a dictator.
Many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, and maybe some on mine, their donors benefit from a broken and inhumane immigration system. They're arresting dishwashers, people at Home Depot at work, and their donors benefit. Guess who's gonna benefit from private detention centers and holding our immigrant neighbors? People are starving. People can't afford basic needs, and you're ripping our loved ones away from us because you don't have the courage to fix our broken immigration system.
First and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to educate the American people on what's really happening right now with these riots. So I see right now there's a lot of back and forth and finger pointing, but the fact is that there is a financial tie to these riots, tied to immigration, that actually leads right back to the Communist Chinese Party. Straight up, the LA riots have been organized by an organization dubbed PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, funded by billionaire Chinese activist Neville Singham, who spends parts of his year by living in Shanghai. In addition to that, although he is not a registered foreign agent, he accepts a lot of money from the CCP and then turns around and funnels it right into some of these violent protests that we're seeing. But it doesn't just stop there. This is not the only organized protest that's using brown people and immigrants as a ruse to push their communist and Marxist agenda. Mr. Waltz, thank you for coming in today to testify, or Mr. Walls. Real quick, is it true, yes or no, that you are speaking at the June 14th Twin Cities No King rally?
I can't confirm that right now. That could be true.
Okay. Just so you know, they're advertising you speaking there.
Okay.
The graphic's actually on X right now. I'd be happy to provide it for you, so I'll take that as probably speaking. Is it true also, I know on your campaign, that you had admitted to visiting China anywhere from 15 to 30 times, sir? Yes or no, please?
I did live in China. And
No, visiting, sir, in addition to living there and in addition to having,
that's correct.
All right, also too, I'd like to note that during your time in Congress that you filed for a $5 million earmark that actually was secured. $2 million of it went to the Harmel Institute that actually collaborated with the Wuhan Institute. Also, the Department of Homeland Security, sir, just to you, so that you're tracking, actually had an internal memo that was released that stated that the government of China considered you a prime target for influence operations. I'm letting you know that now because I do believe that you should be made aware of, if you are not already, that you are working with and going to be speaking at an organization and rally that not is just funded by Christy Walton, the heiress of Walmart, but also has ties to the Chinese Progressive Association, largely funding it, that actually brags on their website that they are pro-Maoist. Also, too, funded by the National Endowment for Democracy. I know there's a lot of people on this committee that don't like billionaires interfering in politics, but say nothing when George Soros gets over $260 million from USAID through the last administration that's then funneled into some of these nonprofits and organizations. So I guess my question for you guys is, now that I've made you aware that these riots are not about illegals and they're not about immigrants, if they did, they would have been protesting under Barack Obama, who's also dubbed the deporter-in-chief. And frankly, I think many of you would say that Barack Obama was a good president. Are you going to say that Barack Obama wasn't a good president? Yes or no, Governor Waltz? Do you think he was a good president?
Do I think Barack Obama was a good
Correct.
president? I think he did a good job.
Okay, how about you, Governor Pritzker?
I think he did a good job. Yes.
Hochul?
Hochul, and yes, he did do a good job.
Okay, next. Perryman?
I think President Obama did a good job.
So then you would understand that Barack Obama had the very same policies, for the most part, on immigration that Republicans are parroting today, and yet you guys are sitting here saying that we're Gestapo. And what I would tell you is that what happens with open borders is that the real people that are coming here, the ones that are exploited, actually it hurts people on both sides, not just Americans, but the illegals. Some of you had said here to the actual committee that you are doing what you can to assist these people. But what I would say is that your policies aren't actually done from a place of understanding and sympathy. I would say that it's actually doing the exact opposite. And when you use brown people, just like they use black people with BLM and Marxists during BLM to usher that in, when you use brown people and you put Mexican flags with them saying that you stand up for illegal immigrants, but you follow the money and it's going back to the Communist Party, what you're essentially doing is using your platform as elected officials, the trust that the American people have put in you, essentially to usher in communism. You're not actually fighting for American values. Don't roll your eyes, because it's a serious topic and that's where the money's coming from. So now I'm informing you, so now you guys can make your decisions, but please be informed, sir, Mr. Walls, that if you truly do uphold the American ideologies and perspectives on the Constitution, you should not be speaking at that rally. I've given you the correct information, and as of right now, I've authorized a letter to be sent to my office to the President of the United States to rescind millions of dollars in funding that we know are going to the No Kings protests that were authorized and basically given under the last administration. That is what Congress is supposed to do, not point fingers, not blame people, but actually ensure that the American people are protected and not fighting for foreign interests, foreign governments, and also the communist.
Will the gentlelady yield for a question?
No.
You don't want to tell us what your evidence is of all this connections?
Actually, no, I will yield.
You know,
to that.
I appreciate
Mr. Goldman, you'll get 5 minutes.
Take your word for it, but you'll
Goldman.
appreciate we might want actual evidence.
I would be happy to provide that, and I'd also be happy to inform Chairman that actually we have a letter of which you can sign on to. I know you like to sign on to letters with us, especially on the Epstein stuff. But we actually have a letter going out to Neville Singham on Friday, and it's actually signed by every single member of Oversight. I'd like to extend that to you because that letter is calling him to testify, and it's also calling for his financial transactions. And do you agree, sir, that we should not be accepting money from the Communist Chinese Party? I think anyone on this platform would agree that that should not be accepted, correct?
I would like for you to actually present evidence rather than just, quote, inform the witnesses. And now that they're informed, they should assume
I
what
don't
you
disrespect
say is
you. I'm
true
going to answer your question. We are having a hearing on it where we can present all the evidence.
Order.
No, but let's have this dialogue.
Yeah, go ahead. You're recognized, Ms. Luna.
We are going to be having a hearing, and you can gavel on to the hearing. I'd appreciate you to do it, because the fact is that the Democrat Party, remember,
is it going to be as good as the Biden impeachment hearing?
Mr. Goldman, you'll have 5 minutes in a moment.
Let's focus real quick.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
like to
she's out
go
of time.
a
I
step
just think
further.
you're trying not to let me talk.
Guys, if you guys want to talk about it, I'll answer the question. But Mr. Singham is also funding Code Pink through his wife.
You know, it's my turn.
And
Can we ask Elon to divest from China while we're at it?
The lady's time's expired. The lady's time's expired.
Thank you so much, governors, for being here. I am the proud daughter of immigrants who fled an authoritarian regime, and it is especially devastating as a first-generation American to watch Donald Trump's reckless, cruel, and radical policies transform this country into an authoritarian regime. Mr. Perry just mocked us for referring to Donald Trump as a dictator, so let's run through the list. Donald Trump has, since he was inaugurated, pardoned violent January 6 insurrectionists, dictator, defied Supreme Court orders and attacked the judiciary, dictator, unilaterally abolished congressionally chartered federal agencies, dictator, attacked the free press, sounds like a dictator, kidnapped people off of the streets and deported them to foreign prisons without due process, sounds like a dictator, defunded higher education, dictator, threatened law firms and the legal profession, Dictator. This weekend, he is spending tens of millions of dollars to host a massive military parade for his birthday. Is this North Korea? On top of all of that, our twice impeached president with a 34-count convicted felony president who is not a king has deployed the active duty military in American cities, and he has spent $134 million to do so. He has their guns trained on American citizens without the consent of local authorities or the state's governor to purposefully generate chaos and provoke a reaction. Meanwhile, we have Republicans on this side of the aisle asking governors of states about bathrooms. Like, this is the most dystopian, horrific episode of Black Mirror that I have ever seen. To our witnesses, the governors, thank you so much for being here today. I agree with my colleagues who say this is a waste of your time. You have been instrumental in fighting back against cruel and illegal Trump administration actions. I represent an extremely diverse district, one of the most diverse in the country, where more than 64 languages are spoken. I can tell you that the actions of this administration towards immigrants and immigrant communities is a blatant abuse of power, but more importantly, these steps are harming our economy and our national security. So I want to ask you a little bit about that. Governor Walz, can you share the ways in which immigrants contribute economically to your state?
Well, thank you, Congresswoman. Well, there's no aspect in Minnesota life that they're not involved, whether it's economically and the impact that they make, whether it's involved in the arts and the culture that Minnesota is very proud of, whether they're in higher professions, medical students, engineers. And Minnesota is proud to have an immigrant heritage. We sat on the land of the Dakota and the Anishinaabe, and all the rest of us came through via immigration. And so the impact is widespread. It's intertwined. It may have been the Norwegians and the Swedes, then the Hmongs and the Somalis, but it's the same story, coming to America for a chance to start and then contribute to a better state.
Thank you so much, Governor Walz. And in fact, according to the American Community Survey, immigrants paid $382 billion in federal taxes and $196.3 billion in state and local taxes in 2022. Governor Pritzker, you recently called immigrants the anchors of their communities. How does Donald Trump's mass deportation project harm the security of your state and instill fear throughout Illinois communities?
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. Let me be clear. The home and raids that occurred in the first week of the Trump administration drove people into hiding. It ruined the entire area of commerce for our Mexican-American community, where people who were documented, people who are citizens actually, had to go into hiding because they know people that are undocumented. They didn't want to get picked up and having to talk about somebody that they know that's undocumented. You could see it was a ghost town. It was a ghost town. We've had people who are working, I'm talking about for decades, who've raised families, who are paying taxes in my state, who have had to flee. And these are good people. These are our neighbors. These are people that are bringing culture and art to our communities, people that should be given an opportunity, if we had good immigration laws, to apply to stay legally in this country and maybe to become U.S. citizens. Indeed, many of them have proven themselves to be maybe more worthy than some people who are already U.S. citizens. Let's give them an opportunity. So I can tell you that it's had a profoundly negative impact on my state, that Donald Trump has been attacking people who are not the problem. Let's go after people. If you're talking about terrorists, and one of the congressmen mentioned that, let's go after terrorists. Let us know who they are. We will go arrest a terrorist any day of the week, every day of the week.
Governor Hochul, if you could also answer.
I'm very proud to represent the state that has the Statue of Liberty in our harbor. Millions of migrants and immigrants have passed through, including my own grandparents. My grandfather was a migrant farm worker. They are an important part of our identity, our economy. The diversity of New York is what sets us apart and makes us so fascinating and so desirable for businesses large and small. They are so critical to our identity and our existence. And I'm really hurt. It hurts me as the leader of a state where people are living in fear in the shadows. People can't go to school. They can't worship. They can't go get health care. They can't go to their senior center. What is happening has been traumatic. It's unnecessary. We will help every day of the week to get rid of people who commit crimes that never should have come here or commit crimes here. That is my number one job. But what is happening is un-American.
Thank you very much, Governor Rawls. Thanks for being here today. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I ask you to keep your remarks brief. I got a lot to go through. As you know, I spent 23 years as a law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota. You know that, right? Do you know that, yes or no?
I don't know how many.
Question. It's not a trick question.
I don't know.
I'll answer it for you. 23 years in Duluth.
Thank you for that.
So, Governor, do you recognize this picture?
I do recognize the picture.
Briefly describe it to us. What is it? What's going on?
These were folks, I believe the people in the picture now are incarcerated in Minnesota.
It's a precinct 3 burning down because of your decision. Was this a peaceful protest? Was this a peaceful protest?
The gentleman standing there?
Was this a peaceful protest?
It was a criminal act that people were prosecuted for.
So it wasn't a peaceful protest, right? As I watched lawlessness devastate Los Angeles this past week, I was reminded of your failure to protect Minnesota from similar riots. Governor Walz, on May 29th of 2020, during your own press conference, you described your response to the riots during the 2020 Summer of Love as, quote, an abject failure. Governor, I couldn't agree with you more.
That's out of context.
And on May 17th, 2025, you were at the law school, graduating Minnesota Law School, talking to the graduates. And we've talked about this. You called the enforcement of illegal immigrants a modern-day Gestapo. You've been asked 3-4 times if you would rescind that, and you won't. Will you rescind it? This is like the 5th time, yes or no?
Congressman, I was talking to law students about due process, and I said you took an oath to due process.
Governor, was there a violent al-Shabaab terrorist who entered our country illegally, arrested in Minneapolis last year? Yes, there was. Were there 3 illegal child predators arrested by ICE in St. Paul earlier this year?
I certainly hope so. That's their job.
Yes, there was. Are the officers who arrested the al-Shabaab terrorists or the child predators, are they Nazis or the Gestapo?
The tactics of wearing masks.
They're not.
The tactics of wearing masks.
Why did you tell us that they were the Gestapo? Do you believe that any of the violent illegal immigrants I have mentioned have a right to be in this country?
I don't know what their immigration status was.
They're illegal, violent criminals that the ICE took off the streets of Minneapolis.
You did not say, Congressman, what their status
Governor,
was.
Last week, law enforcement officers in the state of Minnesota took 900 pounds of meth off the streets. Do you support that?
We certainly do.
Do you know that ICE assisted in that arrest, those arrests and investigations? Do you support the assistance of ICE in that enforcement action? Yes or no?
I can't speak to that because we were not included in the briefing.
You don't know if ICE was part of it? I'm telling you they were.
I don't have that data. I would have to trust you.
Will you apologize to our constituents and law enforcement officers for making them and their families less safe with your incendiary actions?
I'll congratulate them that they helped us work on the largest pension bill for Minnesota law enforcement in 30 years.
Claiming my time.
To all the witnesses, all of our governors, thank you for being here. I want to start with questions really quick, yes or no. Do you believe in due process for everyone, no matter their immigration status?
I do.
I do.
Yes.
What if they didn't vote for you?
I still support them.
I represent everyone in my
state. They disagree with you on immigration. They disagree with you on climate, LGBTQ, right? All of you?
We take care of everyone who lives in our state.
So what about Palestinian human rights? I'll start with you, Governor.
Yes, support.
Human rights for everyone, yes.
Do you believe they deserve due process, even if you disagree with them on Palestinian human rights position?
Yes.
Governor?
Yes, we have, and by the way, we have the
Governor Hochul,
Palestinian American population.
Oh, I know. I'm aware of that, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Governor Hochul, how about you?
Yes, we do.
Your constituent Mahmoud Khalil is still in ICE detention. Are you aware of him?
Very much so, and I'm hoping he's returned home on Friday. Because
we're working on that. So he's a legal permanent resident. I know. This is important. He's a legal permanent resident. He was kidnapped over 3 months ago. And, you know, one of the things I want to do is, if I may, Chairman, submit for the record a letter from Mahmoud Khalil to his son, who was born while he was kidnapped and illegally detained by our country.
Without objections ordered.
I'm going to read a little bit from what he said what he wrote to his son. Quote, I waited on the other line, end of the phone, as your mother labored to bring you into this world. I listened to your pain breaths, her pain breaths, and tried to speak comforting words into her ear over crackling line. During your first moments, I buried my face in my arms and kept my voice low so that the 70 other men sleeping in this concrete room would not see my cloudy eyes or hear my voice catch. The cruelty of what is happening in our country. Everyone, to all my colleagues, should understand the human toll of separation of families. Read this letter, take a moment. And maybe Governor Hochul, sometimes I feel like because he's Palestinian, you didn't speak up enough. And I say that as a Palestinian American serving here in Congress. We all need to always support due process for everyone, no matter if you disagree with them politically or not. The judge said they might release him on Friday. You should use this opportunity, Governor Hochul, to redeem yourself and welcome that decision. I urge you to all protect your constituents' constitutional rights, no matter if you disagree with them politically, including the right to boycott, right, Governor Pritzker?
Including the right to protest, boycott, do whatever.
That's right. I want to discuss the next item. This is person that is now, I believe, already on a plane to Colombia. This is Michael Bogoya Durante from Southwest Detroit. He was on his way to a field trip while local police racially profiled him, said, oh, he don't speak English, let me call Border Patrol. He spoke English just fine. That set in motion to separate him from his mother and his community. He was 3.5 credits away from graduating high school. To us, he was our son. Our son. He was not a criminal. He was trying to do the right thing. He had attorneys at a nonprofit legal agency. And you know, governors, I think about him and his trip, and he's there, and he's with all his friends, and he's trying to experience this beautiful thing that we all have experienced. But what makes me angry about the fact that he went on this flight, he's probably in Colombia now, without his family, without his school community, without his classmates, is that many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, and maybe some of mine, their donors benefit from a broken and inhumane immigration system. The President of the United States benefited financially and personally by having a broken immigration system that keeps our immigrant neighbors in a broken system that doesn't allow them to come out of the shadows. Why? Because that's cheap labor. Let's be honest. They're arresting dishwashers, people at Home Depot at work, and their donors benefit. You know it. The restaurant industry benefit. They know exactly what they're doing. If they even wanted to fix this immigration system, they'd go to the people that employ them. And we know it. Now, detention centers. Guess who's going to benefit from private detention centers and holding our immigrant neighbors? Their donors. So shame on us in bringing these governors here when we know exactly what is happening here. This is all for profit, all for cruelty, and fear and division. Fix our economic system in our country. People are starving. People can't afford basic needs. And you're ripping our loved ones away from us because you don't have the courage to fix our broken immigration system. It's been inhumane for decades. Shame on us, both Democrats and Republicans, for not doing what's right in this chamber and doing what is right for the American people and making sure we're not separating families. With that, Mr. Chair, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to point out that under Article 6 of the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause, that by declaring your states sanctuary states, you declared your intent to violate federal law. With that, are you aware that illegal aliens with known ties to terrorist organizations are now residing in the United States? That's a yes or no. Quickly, yes or no. Governor Walz.
I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I would assume
you should
yes.
have. Governor Pritzker.
I know that's been alleged. I don't have firsthand knowledge myself.
You should have. Governor Hochul.
My Joint Terrorism Task Force surveillance has surveillance.
Ma'am, that's a yes or no. Either you know or you don't.
We are aware.
That's amazing, considering that the Customs Border Patrol reported just in fiscal year 23, 736 encounters with illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations. And there's it's 2.2 million estimated gotaways. We have no idea how many known terrorists are in our country. Do you support the arrest and deportation of illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations? So yes or no? Governor Walz.
If due process is given, certainly.
Governor Pritzker.
Exactly. We need
Governor
due
Hochul.
process before we
Hochul.
arrest people.
Yes or no?
Anyone involved in a crime, we
Ma'am,
cooperate.
yes or no?
We cooperate when any
Ma'am, yes
crimes
or
are-
no?
We cooperate
You
with any
cannot
crimes.
give a straight answer, and the answer is you're giving safe harbor to people with ties to terrorist organizations. Are you aware of that? Let me tell you, you're shielding members of known terrorist organizations such as MS-13, Tren Aragua, Brown Pride Azteca, Barrios Azteca, Serenos, which is otherwise known as Sur 13, and the 18th Street Gang. Those are designated terrorist organizations. Many of these are the people responsible for bringing fentanyl in that's killed, along with other drugs, killed over 100,000 people per year. We're no longer in a war on drugs. We're involved in a war with drugs. These are casualties. Are you aware that the Department of Homeland Security identified over 400 illegal aliens who were smuggled into the United States with the help of an affiliate of ISIS? Are you aware of that, Governor Walz?
Congressman, I don't have direct knowledge of that.
Well, I'll help you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter to the record article from NBC News. DHS identifies over 400 migrants brought in the United States by an IS-affiliated human smuggling network. Is that a problem?
Without objection, so ordered.
Does that raise any concern for you?
None of us want terrorists in this country.
Then why are you shielding people here from being picked up by our ICE agents, referring to this as a Gestapo organization? You know, I never want to get up on another morning like I did on September 11th, 2001. There are people in this country who are here with the full intent to do us harm. They came across our borders illegally. 358 of them crossed the northern border into New York. Not all of them into New York, but some of them came through New York. There's arms smuggling across the Canadian border into New York. And you're shielding these people. Are you aware that if just 0.5% of the estimated 15 million, 14.7 million to be exact, that came into our country illegally during the Biden administration, if just 0.5% are tied to criminal organizations or terrorist organizations, that constitutes more than the combined active duty forces of the Army and Marines? Does that not strike you as something that should be of great concern to us?
Since you raised New York, I'd like to answer.
Are you aware?
We cooperate fully with all investigations, particularly terrorists. I mean, you cannot say 9/11 and not invoke incredible emotion.
How do you know, Governor
from us.
Hochul, that they're terrorists if you don't allow people to be picked up who came here illegally to at least give an account for their presence?
We say they
how do
should
you
be vetted
know
at the
if they're
border.
not part of that 400 that we know came in through an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling operation? You don't know. You're not even looking into that.
You're pointing to an abject failure of the federal government to do its job to secure
what
our
I'm
borders.
pointing out here is that your sanctuary policies now constitute a threat to our national security.
We cooperate in all criminal investigations.
You are engaged
Always
in
have, always will.
operations against federal government attempts to enforce federal law that I think now constitutes a threat to our national security, and you're in violation of federal law.
That's 100% false.
And charges for obstruction should be brought against each one of you for doing this. I'll leave that up to the Department of Justice. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.